Welcome to my July garden tour. My name is Rochelle and this is Brampton Gardener. So this is the view I get to see every morning when I step out onto the deck or when I come home from work. I look out here and I get to see all these happy, smiling little plants greeting me. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I do have a new series out called Plant of the Week where you can win some free seeds if you comment below the videos. So don't forget to check that out and let's get started. Over here on the patio we have my planter section. So I've got a lot of pots going on and a lot of different things. I've mixed in some herbs and some flowers and some veggies all together. Over here I have some canna lilies that I've been growing for years, same tubers. And then in here, if you can see, I have this amaranth. It is going crazy. It's way bigger than any of the amaranth that's out in the garden. Here my climbing petunias are really taking off. I got some parsley and some other herbs. We've got tarragon and thyme. 2 of these cannas that I grew from seed from the neighbor's garden. Over here I have some peppers. I have some New Mexico 6 and some cayenne. Tucked back in here, there's some snapdragons and some basil. In the front here we have got lots of petunias. I went a little crazy with petunias this year. And I have a gold pearl dwarf tomato plant. So I'll give you another angle here. So this is my dwarf gold pearl tomato that Gizmo has been enjoying for quite some time. I got some basil, nasturtiums, chives, more petunias. I also have some calla lilies along with my canna lilies in here. I think there was another one blooming. There she is. And you can see how big and tall the amaranth has gotten back there. I had to stake it. And then this thing is a beast. So these are my climbing petunias, some alyssum from the garden that had self-seeded, and I just dug it up and stuck in this pot. And then I absolutely love my Prince Tut grass. So last year I had tried the King Tut, and then this year I could only find the Prince Tut. We went with that, and I think it looks really good in that container. And I'm just going to step back, make sure I don't trip anything. And you can see how well that whole section is filled in. You don't even see the other air conditioner. You still see this bright red one, but it is definitely slightly disguised. So over here is my $2 diplodunia that I rescued from Canadian Tire, and it's really looking good. It's got some new growth on it. It's happy. My Jamaican hot chocolate, my Chinese ornamental. This nasturtium is just going crazy. And I have learned that I don't think I'll be putting nasturtium in containers with other things anytime soon again. They're just going to get in their own container just because of their growth habit. They just kind of grow up and out of the pot. But it doesn't crowd anything else out, so it's not too bad. And then these are my New Mexico 6s. They are going banana pants, as Nicole would say. So I will be doing a harvest video very shortly. And then over here we have the candlelight and the Bolivian rainbow. Over here I have my Buena Malata, and if you see in there, I think I have one that's ready to pick of my Azuleo. And then these have a lot more. And look at the babies, they're so cute. Alright, and now to Tomato Alley. So our tomatoes are going crazy. Most of them are almost to the top of the gazebo now. I have all different varieties along here, and I'm starting to see a few starting to turn red. There's my crazy tomato. And along here I have this guy. I think this is my Costaputo. And this is going to be my first red tomato, but I'm going to leave it on there a little bit longer. But isn't she pretty? So exciting. And then my arbor. This is one of my favorite spots in the garden, especially towards the fall when this arbor is just full of vines. So this year the morning glory has just started blooming, and on this side I have like the jelly melon is coming up, and then the tomato is going to be going across. I don't have the loofah on there this year. It died in the May 28th snow that we had, so I lost my cucamelon and my loofah. So over here, the container produce section, it's actually doing really well. I will be pulling the kale out this week though. It's done its thing. I think it's ready to move on, and the doing really good with my radish pods. Since I can't grow radish bulbs, I grow the pods. It works for me. So that's doing really well, but I am going to be pulling out all the kale and transplanting some of my bean plants at the back that the bunnies keep attacking. So here we are in my kind of the cut flower section. We have had a bit of a damage. I believe squirrels have come in because I'm missing my sunflower that was there yesterday, and it's not anywhere on the ground. It is gone. So that's been stolen, and all the rain, this is getting knocked around. Something was walking around in there last night because it was not like that yesterday, unfortunately. So this is my gaillardia, and I have some drumsticks at the back, and then the alyssum. And you'll notice the alyssum all the way up on both sides, and that all self-seeded from last year. It was a little patchy in places, so I did dig it up and kind of transfer it to where it needed to go, but it all came back really, really nicely. So over here I have my kohlrabi, and it is really starting to take shape. Isn't that cool? Such a unique plant. Can you see that one in there? That one's getting pretty big. I probably could harvest that one soon. And then over here I have my calendula. My hyacinth bean vine is just starting to take off. That's really exciting. And then this monstrosity here is my garden huckleberry. So it looks to me like it's in the nightshade family, just from the look of the leaves and the flowers, but I don't know if it said that on the package, but it really looks like black nightshade to me, actually. And morning glories are starting to come up. Calendula straw flowers are absolutely beautiful. So happy I tried growing those this year. This basket, she's got a life of her own going on over here. Then back here I have my cosmos that are just kind of starting, and my poppies, which were amazing earlier, and apparently a tomato plant. I don't know where that came from. My canna lily back there. I do have 2 small ground cherries that I tucked in behind. This, I mean, look at the size of this straw flower. Have you seen? I mean, I don't remember it saying it would get that tall. I think it's taller than my my lilac, which is actually starting to bloom again. This right here is my pride and joy, my favorite plant in the whole garden, my hardy hibiscus, and you can see that she is just getting ready. I normally don't see any blooms from her until mid-August, usually between August 14th and the 16th. From what I can tell on my calendar is usually when I see my first bloom, and then it just goes crazy after that. Oh, the wind is picking up. It's absolutely beautiful out here. Nice temperature. It's not too hot for once. Then we have another of the canna lilies. I'm really enjoying growing these shorter varieties because they bloom a lot sooner than the ones I usually grow. They usually don't start blooming until they hit like 5 or 6 feet. So these are a much shorter variety, so they bloom sooner. Yay! And my sweet williams that I chopped all the way back and were looking kind of sad for a while are starting to put on their second bloom of the season. Very exciting. These snapdragons are going crazy. This thing is so tall. I will be coming in and doing cutting a bunch of the flowers for some cut flower bouquets, but I did want to make sure I did my tour first so it doesn't look too sparse. These are the things we think about when we're filming. My rose mallow is looking lovely, and this also can be used nicely in cut flower arrangements. I do need to come in and kind of deadhead some of these items. My dianthus. Back there I have a lovely blue hosta, and my ground cherry is really starting to take off. That looks like it's going to be producing pretty soon. Then up here I have some kale that I just popped in randomly, some more petunias, a tiny Tim, and I have some delphinium. I put delphinium and larkspur in here, and so far these are the only 2 plants that seem to have survived. I don't think we're going to see any blooms on those this year, unfortunately. Back there I have some cosmos and some canna lilies, but they don't get a lot of sun, so they take a little bit longer to get going. And up here, the hill, this is the area of disappointment, as I like to call it. So this part looks all right, and this bean, this is the scarlet runner bean. It is doing exactly what I hoped it would do. It is starting to grow up into my dead tree, so hopefully it will just be covered in beans soon. I do have some of the long noodle beans growing up on this as well. I think that's the one other vine that's slightly different leaves, so I'm really hoping to see them drooping and hanging down. Back there I have my patty pan squash, which is actually full of flowers right now. Pop over there and see her. So she seems to be doing pretty good. Got lots and lots of flower buds ready to come. Seems to be fairly protected. I don't have any animals that have been like crawling around in this one yet, so that's good. And down here you can see my astilbe, few hostas, canna lilies, cosmos. Don't get a shot from the garden this way very often. My poor sad honeysuckle that I've had for about, I don't know, 15, 16 years. I finally moved it last year because it wasn't liking its spot before, and it's actually done better this year than it has in previous years, but it's still looking kind of sad. And then these are finally blooming, so this is exciting. These are my zinnias. These are the Queenie Lime, I believe the Queenie Lime Coral. And then this one here is so pretty. I love the color on that. She's just opening up. And these are really, really full. They're a bit longer later in blooming because I did come in and pinch them all back like you're supposed to. And then I have two. These here are my Gomphrena. And they're the tiniest little plants, but they are blooming. So I will say that those are the saddest Gomphrena I have ever seen. They're super tiny. So yes, this is the section of disappointment, as I like to call it. These are my poor beans. So I have tried these 3 different times, and every time they start to get big, I start to get leaves on them, Mr. Bunny Man comes in and just chews them down. So I think I will be pulling these out and putting them into the containers where the kale is, and seeing what else I can plant here to give it a splash of color. I might actually just put one of my hanging baskets and set it there for a bit. Then up here is my one and only zucchini plant, and that is all the bigger she is because this is the only place I had in the garden to plant it at the time, and I really don't think she's getting enough sun. So I could put it down here maybe when I move the beans, but I'm afraid it's going to take over. So I don't know. All right, so on to the other side. You can see, if you watched my last video about the hollyhocks, that I did come in and prune it back quite a bit over here. And the reason I did that is down here I have, sorry, I'm in my shadow. I have next year's hollyhocks that I had planted the seedlings from this year, and they were really shaded out from these 4 plants that were blooming. So I kind of cut that back so that next year's hollyhocks can get some more sunlight and hopefully grow big and strong. My Wigelia, I have cut that back several times. It kind of keeps taking over. And then from this side you can see I've got some amaranth in here, and my cranberry hibiscus is getting pretty big. So actually let's come around this side for a change. So over here on this side I have this sweet little guy just opened up. I'm not even sure what variety of sunflower this one is. I just kind of had a mixed bag. I think it was the mixed sunflowers, and I just kind of started sticking them in. I didn't know how big or tall they would get. So I have that one, and then I have, what the heck is this? This is not a sunflower. I don't know what this is growing up here. What? Oh brother, you're getting pulled out. Okay, so then I have my calendula. So I have 2 different colors of calendula. This is like a nice, it's all from the what's it called? Flashback mix that I got from Rainbow Seeds. So this is kind of more of like the pinky honey yellows. And then this is the yellow one. And these are both really, really pretty. I like them better than the orange one that I have down at the bottom of the hill. And then here, this thing is jam-packed full of garden huckleberries. So they're going to be ready to harvest soon. And apparently they're supposed to taste like blueberries when you cook them and add lots of sugar. So we'll be making some huckleberry tarts or something soon. And then these are my sweet currant tomatoes, which I did not expect to get this big. And you can see that they are just starting to ripen up. Got lots of red ones in there. I'll have to send the kid in for some harvest and get some of those tomatoes off there. And this plant I am making sure Gizmo does not know about. I will not be giving him any tomatoes off of this in the garden, because otherwise he will try and get in here and just trample it. So over here I have lovely canna lily and my Shasta daisies, which that is all they have done so far. So I'm hoping to see some blooms on them at some point. Some cilantro, lilies, an absolutely beautiful zinnia. So this is my other hibiscus. This one is white with a pink center, and it is a bit smaller, and it usually blooms a lot sooner than the other ones. So I'm hoping to see something on this any day now. My echinacea is going crazy. It's way better out in the back. I used to have it in the front yard. Loves it out here. Snapdragons, of course. And then down the hill we have the peony, which has done its thing. And these amazing 4 o'clocks. They are going crazy and they are absolutely stunning. All right, so another shot going from this direction. So the tomatoes there. We have a white rose mallow, some petunias, and a volunteer evening primrose that came back from last year, and it's looking lovely when it blooms. It's all yellow next to my yellow nasturtiums. I can't wait for that hibiscus to be blooming. And oh my goodness, there's so many blooms out here right now. I'm definitely gonna have to come make a cut flower arrangement. And then these 4 o'clocks have a massive stalk on them, and they kind of fell over. I should have supported them better, and they're kind of crushing my Petunia Vista bubblegums. So that poor plant is just getting squashed there. Speaking of support, we've had so much rain and these guys keep getting knocked over. I do have them staked, but they kind of apparently lost its thing. But so this is my Bells of Ireland, and it does have a really nice, unique, kind of a fresh smell to it. My dwarf gold pearl is going crazy back there. Just behind them there, you can see I have some oriental poppies. Hopefully they'll be blooming soon. My cinnamon basil is really showing up, and some cilantro, and then I have 3 different kinds of peppers in here. And you can see, oh yeah, we're gonna have a nice little harvest on those soon. And what do you think you're doing here? Shame, shame, shame. All this rain and the weeds are just going crazy. So this section is really filling in nicely. And then over here I have some jalapenos and my orange bell pepper. That's what it is. And then back behind me we have Gizmo's absolute favorite plant. I have 2 Tiny Tim cherry tomatoes in this little pot, and we have got so many tomatoes off of this little thing. It's crazy. I have another, well, I thought it was this cabbage, and now I'm not even sure what this thing, and then I was like, is it kohlrabi? I don't even know what this thing is anywhere over here. So here we are out in the front garden, and you can see everything is blooming, everything's really starting to fill in, and I'm pretty happy with how it's all turned out. Here in the front, I'll start over here, we have our nasturtiums, some impatiens, some snapdragons that they're all from last year. They came back, and some self-seeded. I have my rose mallows, my zabrinas, and my lone sedum, my lone sedum tucked back in there. Got a few more. Hopefully we'll see some more blooms off of those. You can see my geranium is much happier than it was up in the flower pot up on the porch. It's really loving it out here. And I'm very excited, but my sweet little hibiscus here is getting ready to bloom. That's our first bud of the season. It did bloom for me all winter long in the house, so glad to see that it has taken to its spot here in the garden, and hopefully we'll be getting lots of blooms out here as well. I still have my one allium. It's still going crazy out here, and I'm getting some seed off of that, so I do want to collect those. Snapdragons, I've got a few peppers in here, some more nasturtiums, some more snapdragons, and then I've got these babies. These are my Asiatic lilies, and they just opened up this week, and they are just absolutely stunning. I look forward to these guys every year. They really put on a show, and they smell amazing. Oh, they smell so good. I keep hoping that it's going to spread and I'm going to get more of these, but nope, only one so far every year. So you can see the cannas up here don't get as much sun, so they're not doing quite as well. So we have some cannas in here. I have some more poppies that are, poor guys, we got more rain yesterday. It just kind of beat everything down. I got some zinnias that are getting started. I have some 4 o'clocks that I transplanted just the other day. They're looking a little sad right now. My cranberry hibiscus are all starting to get a little bit bigger, and I'm getting a few more blooms on my sweet williams. The cannas hopefully will start taking off soon. And my last hollyhock up front, this one from last year that I was not expecting to see again because I never even saw it at all last year. It got chewed down immediately after I planted it by the bunnies, but it's I think it's starting to look pretty good. But I am keeping an eye on next year, you know, with the bulbs and the placement and everything, where I can plant what. These, I believe, are perennial, so those will be coming back. That'll be nice. But the rest, everything else in here that you see right now, except for the astilbe and my sad little azalea and my Solomon seal, because it gets quite a bit of sun where it's at. It gets morning sun and then it gets afternoon sun, because this tree gives a little bit of dappled shade, but not a lot. But it does really, really well. So I know people are always worried and say, oh, I can't plant that because it gets, an hour or two of sun. And honestly, I think it'll be just fine. Oh my goodness. If you thought she was a hot mess in my front garden update, look at her now. These climbing petunias have just gone crazy. You can't even see the urn. It's in there somewhere back in there. The sweet potato vine is just all starting to take off. I don't know, it's not really, I would think it's getting enough sun for the petunias to be going like this. This tropical plant thingy is very pretty, but I don't think it's big enough for this container, so I won't be using it. I won't be using it again in a container like this. I don't think it'd be good in a landscape or a smaller container, but it just cannot compete with the climbing petunias. This little planter, I still think it's really sweet, even though I don't know if it's a chipmunk or a squirrel that keeps deciding to try to romp around and dig in there, but she does keep bouncing back, and it is nice and full, and it's been blooming continuously. And I do like to give it a rotate every so often, just to kind of balance out the sun and show off these beautiful begonias. So pretty. We have this little thing, which is slightly off balance. I did take the geranium out on this side because it was not doing well, and I wanted to put a caladium, never did find one, so it is what it is. That is my poinsettia from Christmas, and I cannot believe I kept it alive long enough to get it outside, and that it is thriving. I got it for like $2, and it is just a huge plant right now. And then this I also got at Christmas. And then my nasturtium is doing good. This begonia, so pretty.